Hello, I'm Natalie from the Early Years Alliance, and today I'm here to talk to you about mathematical babies. And I'm going to share with you some information and ideas of how you can support your baby's early maths learning at home. Very early maths is not very much to do with number and counting, but is actually about your baby exploring early mathematical concepts around different areas. And those areas can be things like spatial awareness, so learning how their bodies move in the space that they are in and helping them to learn how to judge the distances between things. It can be about attributes of objects, so your baby exploring and learning through play all about different shapes and sizes and weights and textures, and recognising that there are differences between the objects that are in their world. It can be about them learning their grip response, so learning that they need to use a different amount of grip and a different hand position to hold things that are different shapes, sizes and weights. It can be about them learning sequencing, and that can be just in your everyday. It's them learning about their routines and them learning to predict what's going to happen next. So things like learning that when it's bath time, they can hear that bath water running, you get them undressed, and then they get into the water. And that's them learning a sequence of events. It's them learning that pattern of things that happen in their everyday experiences. And it can also be about object permanence. And what that means is that your baby is learning that when they can't see an object anymore, it's disappeared from their view, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist anymore. So they learn to recognise that just because they can't see something, it doesn't mean that it isn't there. So lots and lots of different concepts that at first might not actually sound like maths, might not sound like early maths skills, but they are absolutely all connected. And these are the foundations of their learning that they will need before they take those next steps in their learning of mathematical concepts to things like number and counting. So what I'm going to do is share with you a few ideas of things that you can do with your baby to support all of those different areas of learning in their early maths. So the first thing, I'm just going to show you how I might set up a playmat for a baby to support them with their spatial awareness. Now I'm doing this up on a table today so that you can see it, but just for safety, please make sure that you always place your baby on the ground. We don't place them on surfaces like this. It would be dangerous for them to be there. So when you're setting up your playmat for your baby, then you would do that down at ground level. I'm just doing it up here today so that you can see it a little bit more easily. So I've got my nice soft surface for my baby to lay on, and I would place my baby right here in the middle. And then I'm going to add things for them to explore. But what I'm going to do is provide that baby with the opportunity to explore all of that space around them. So as I'm placing things on there, I might place them so that the baby would have to stretch and reach, or when they get to the stage of turning and rolling, that might be what they need to do to reach the object that they would like to play with. So we can place lots of little objects around them, and things like little pieces of fabric and scarves and things that baby is going to be able to grab hold of. And what that is going to do is encourage your baby to explore all of this space. And through that, they will start to learn to judge those distances. So they will learn that when they stretch their arm, they will recognise how far that goes in reaching the thing that they want to get to, and whether they need to stretch a little further or whether they need to bring their hand a little closer. And we can do this on different planes. We can do this from above as well by interacting with our baby. So if I had a baby here today, I would be showing them these scarves from above as well as I'm talking to the baby. So it's giving them that opportunity to reach up and stretch. And you'll often find that babies will do that with their feet as well. They will lift their legs up to meet the object that you've got positioned just above them. This is also a really lovely opportunity to do songs and rhymes, face-to-face songs, and some peekaboo as well if you've got a little bit of scarf or a piece of fabric. So we're really giving the baby that opportunity to explore their spatial awareness. And it's really key that we give babies lots of opportunities to do this. And if we keep babies for long periods of time in things like push chairs and bouncer seats, although they have their necessity and their use throughout our day, they're not getting that same opportunity to explore. So throughout the day, make sure your baby has lots of opportunities where they are free to move in whatever way they are doing that at their age and stage, and that they have that stimulating environment around them, along with you being the most stimulating thing in your child's environment, there to encourage those movements. So spatial awareness, as simple as sitting up a ground level play space for baby. The next thing I want to share with you as an idea to encourage your baby's early math skills would be a treasure basket or a treasure tray. And what I've got in here is just lots of objects that I've picked up from around the house this morning, and I've popped into a little container that I can present to a baby. And what I'm giving that baby through presenting a treasure basket or treasure tray is lots of opportunities for them to explore the attributes of objects. So for them to learn that different things are lighter or heavier, that they feel different, they're different textures in their hand. They might be cold like a metal object, or have different shapes that they can explore with their fingers. They might have some soft things or things that they can actually squish and squeeze in their fingers. I've got some natural objects here as well, just a little bit of wood and a pine cone there. Just always make sure that you are supervising your child when you're exploring a treasure basket, so that you can just keep a close eye on their mouthing, because babies will take things to their mouths. So we just make sure that everything's clean, there's nothing that bits can fall off, and that we're just supervising at all times. I've got a little homemade shaker there as well. I've just put some sequins in a little plastic pot that I've taped around the top, just to make sure it's safe for baby and that they can't get anything out of there that would be a choking or swallowing risk there. So different things that they can hold in different ways with their hands. I've got a little box there, a little empty box, so they can explore the different shapes there, see how it feels in their fingers, and the difference between the straight edges of certain objects and the rounded edges of certain objects. So we've got different shapes there for them to explore. Just got a little scoop spoon. Little boxes, things like little jewellery boxes are nice, things that have a little hinge, that as their little muscles are developing and they have a little bit more strength, they can start to open and close, as well as exploring the shape. And that one's got a sort of lovely velvety texture there, so something quite different from our smooth and hard objects. And you can be exploring all of this language with your baby as well, talking to them, describe what they're feeling. They're not able to do that yet, but you can describe that for them. And as they get to that stage of picking up that vocabulary, it will be ready, it will be there for them, because they're hearing it lots and lots in their play. These little sticky, like laundry lint rollers, are really interesting for babies, because they have that strange sticky texture that they've got to figure out. What does that feel like? Why does it stick to my fingers a little bit? It moves around as well. So if you've maybe got one that you've used on some laundry already and it's quite fluffy and not as sticky anymore, they'll be able to explore the rotation of that as well. So, really simple household items that we can explore with our baby. And what they are doing is they are building those early math skills by exploring all of those different shapes, textures, weights, sizes of all of those different objects in their little treasure basket or treasure tray. So have a look around the house, gather a selection of different things, different shapes and sizes that your baby can explore and you can explore together. The next early maths activity for babies that I'd like to share with you today is a really simple ball activity. And all I've got there is a muffin tray out of my kitchen and some balls. These are the sort of little lightweight like ball pool balls, but any balls at all, or even just some scrunched up paper. So make some little paper balls just by screwing up a little bit of paper. And what that gives your baby is the opportunity to pick up and put down different objects, and they're judging the space, so that's spatial awareness. Where is their hand in relation to that tin? How do they get that ball into that little hole? So that there's a skill there. they're exploring their grip. So they're exploring how hard they need to squeeze that object to grab it and lift it, how wide they need to spread their fingers to manage that grip depending on the size of the object and the size of their hands. They're thinking about colours as well. You could maybe adapt this to make it a little bit more tricky for a slightly older baby or toddler. You could pop some coloured paper or card in the bottom there and make it a colour match. We've got a little bit of sequencing there, an early pattern, just by how I've placed all the blue ones, yellow ones and red ones in a line. What you're doing is you're providing your baby with the opportunity to have these experiences, to see things in different ways, and all of that stimulus is really going to be making those brain connections, connecting those neural pathways that they're going to build on and use in their learning. We're making them better learners by providing them with these simple everyday opportunities and experiences. So little tray, whatever balls you have, or even just some scrunched up pieces of paper. You could even use something like a natural resource, like some pine cones. You could go and collect some pine cones and actually offer this to your child with your natural resources there in each of the spaces. So really simple ideas, lots of ways that we can vary that to provide babies with some of those early mathematical concepts. And the last one that I wanted to share with you today is an activity that can help your baby to develop that object permanence that I mentioned a little bit earlier on. You may have noticed that your baby, particularly up to that 8-month point, can get extremely distressed when you leave a room or you go out of sight. And that's because they don't understand yet that just because they can't see something, it still exists. So to your baby before that point, if they can't see you and they can't see the thing that they want to have, they think it doesn't exist anymore because they've not quite reached that milestone yet where they've developed their understanding and awareness of object permanence. So we can provide our babies with some activities that can help them to develop that, and that we can work together to reach that milestone and develop that skill. That's going to help them to understand that things still exist that they can't see. It's also going to provide them with opportunities to see the differences between objects and start to match things that are the same. So loads of different skills there for a really simple game. And what I would do is I would present baby with a little basket or just on the carpet some different objects. I've got some different toys. I've got a couple of spoons there, and you can see I've got some things that are matching and then some things that are different. And I would let baby start to explore these objects, and we'd explore them together. And I might hand baby a spoon and say, oh, you've got one spoon. Oh, I can see another one, and just start to introduce that early language there. And then I get my little piece of fabric and I'm going to pop that down where baby can see. And I'm going to choose one of these objects. I'm going to get the tractor. And I'll say, oh, where's the tractor gone? Where is it? And as your baby starts to understand object permanence, they will start to look, okay? They will start to hunt for things that they want to see. And your baby will start to lift that and find the object that's underneath. And while they're getting towards that stage, then you can model that for them. So I could pop the tractor and say, where's the tractor gone? I can't see it anyway. Oh, here it is. So I'm playing like a peekaboo game, but with the object. So I might do that with a matching pair. I might take one of the spoons and say, oh, you've got a spoon. Where did the other spoon go? Here it is. And really exaggerate that for them. Exaggerate that finding, that joy of finding that object, because that will encourage your baby to then want to seek and explore as well. And you can put multiple items under there. And then what that gives your baby the opportunity to do is to seek those items out and explore them a little bit more. And they're going to start to see that there are differences between objects. They're going to feel that they weigh differently. They're going to feel the different shapes and the different textures of the objects that are around them. So we're working on lots and lots of those early mathematical concepts to give our baby those skills. And what that's also going to do is it's going to help your baby to pay closer attention. It's building those attention skills, because through these sorts of games and these positive interactions that we're having with babies, they are starting to pay close attention to the things that we are doing for very short periods of time, but closer attention to objects. And what that does is that opens that attention span up for them for when they are exploring different objects and different textures throughout their day. So really key skills that are built there with a really, really simple early maths game. So hopefully you've got a few ideas there for how you can set up some early maths activities to do with your baby at home. If you would like any other ideas for activities and learning that you can do at home with your baby, then you can go to our website, which is www.familycorner.co.uk, or you can go to YouTube and look for the Early Years Alliance YouTube channel, where you will find lots of other videos with different ideas.